Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. We're getting closer to the big one. 4 teams remain in the NFL, and we're going to talk about the divisional round, what happened to the Ravens, crazy games that we've seen, and we'll go on ahead and predict the conference championships and see who emerges victorious. But Smokey's here, JJ's also here. JJ, welcome back. How's life?
I'm doing fine.
Smokey, how's life?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm better than Ravens fans right now.
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. I wanted you to actually start off with that. But before we get into that, quick results from last week. I have a suspicion that I didn't do well.
Yeah, you got 2 of them right.
And I got Kansas City and San Francisco, huh?
Yes. I got 3.
And you had Green Bay, too. Yeah, because you had Green Bay.
Yeah.
And I picked against Aaron Rodgers.
You never do that, man.
You never do that.
Oh,
you know what? Don't even get me started because I'll do it again later. What?
You're definitely going to be in a
I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to not pick against Aaron Rodgers today. How about that?
Oh, man, that's tough.
Wait, how many did I have? Because I would have picked
2.
Chiefs, Niners, and Packers as well.
You picked the...
Okay.
What are you?
All right, I picked the Texans.
You picked Houston?
Yep.
What?
Texans.
Because they have the better overall team.
But they don't have your homeboy, as in my homeboy.
Yeah.
Ah, that guy?
Yeah, that guy. You know that really good one, Smokey? Like that one that just got, you know that guy that just put 50 on somebody after his incompetent defense, incompetent support spotted Deshaun Watson, your boy, 24 points in the first half. And guess what? My homeboy led by halftime.
In Deshaun Watson's defense, that was a great defense that he put those points on. And Deshaun Watson didn't choke. He did not choke. The defense choked. This is all on that Texans defense that you've been claiming was so great. They were horrible.
Patrick Mahomes made everybody look terrible. What do you mean that was a great defense that he put points on?
And that's what you were claiming? The Chiefs were a great defense, that Deshaun Watson...
In the first quarter?
Deshaun Watson
points?
did enough to beat anybody in this league. The problem was the defense.
Mahomes, boy, you got to score more points. If you want to beat Mahomes, you got to score more points than Mahomes.
He already did it one time.
You know
this year. Huh? What about that one?
You know that.
Listen.
He scored more points. Does it matter? What does it matter more? Regular season or playoffs?
Well, you can argue that point, but the fact is they're 1-1 right now. So we're gonna go into next week, next season.
So those wins are equal. Those wins are equal.
They definitely are.
Come on.
We're gonna go into next season carrying this on because I'm not done. Deshaun Watson is a great quarterback, and Patrick Mahomes is mediocre at best.
All right, okay, I see. There's some behind the scenes stuff here, I think. Yeah, don't take that take too seriously there. But I'll take the quarterback who's made back-to-back AFC Championship games, and the last time that he didn't go to the Super Bowl is because exclusively his defense cost him that game against the Patriots. And I have a suspicion that he's going to go to the Super Bowl this year, so I will put my money into that guy. If you want to, I propose your long-term bet. Patrick Mahomes, at the end of his career, has more Super Bowl wins, more total career wins than Deshaun Watson. Both of those.
And that's tough because he's on a better team overall.
Come on. That better team that spotted Deshaun 24 points, that couldn't catch anything, that dropped punts.
Yeah,
that drew penalties.
That held everybody else to under 16 points.
Doesn't play. That held like the Chargers and the Browns and Raiders to under 16 points.
And the Broncos, don't forget that.
Okay, the Broncos with the rookie core. Okay, the Broncos, it's always been a defensive team.
That put up like 38 on that Texans
Stop
defense.
saying the Chiefs' defense is good. They're not good.
I'm not the only one saying this. Look, the analysts are saying this. I mean, it's everywhere. I don't know why you're still doubting them. Look at the stats. Jesus, they're actually really good. They were bad last season. And they were bad in the first quarter of this season. But through the second half of the season,
defense? Who's the worst defense left in the playoffs?
That's tough. Probably the Packers. I don't know.
Stop it.
It's between the Packers and the Titans for sure.
Come on, you don't. Come on, man. Look. Why you do that?
In my defense, I picked the Chiefs to win that game.
You didn't pick the Chiefs to win it because you knew that Patrick Mahomes was a better quarterback than those two.
No, because I knew that the defense was going to fall apart.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I see. The defense that spots a guy 24 and forces their quarterback to score on 7 consecutive drives. Record, by the way. Come back from a 20-point deficit and win by 20 points. Record, by the way, against your boy Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
All right.
He got lucky.
I see.
Listen.
I see. He got lucky. Okay, he got lucky. Let's see.
I'll give you this, though. But before I go to bed tonight, I will pray for forgiveness from our Lord and Savior, Patrick Mahomes, if that makes you feel better.
That's a good idea.
I'm sorry for blaspheming.
Because Patrick Mahomes, if that's how you see that, he'll get an awful lot of amount of lucky over the next decade. Mm-hmm. So you better get used to it because he's blessed. If that's how you wanna look at that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's look at the Ravens too. What happened to the Ravens? Do you have an explanation?
The Derrick Henrys happened to the Ravens.
A lot of talking going on before. About they don't want to tackle him, and then I've never particularly liked Earl Thomas anyway, but I thought it was sort of poetic justice. Yeah. For him to be completely destroyed by Derrick Henry like the Patriots were.
Listen, I was torn because I love Lamar Jackson, but I've always hated the Ravens, so it was bittersweet to say the least. I like it though. I like the Titans, man. I like Derrick Henry's amazing, dude, and he's finally coming to his own in the NFL. And
he's good.
He's killing linebackers right now.
He is. JJ, what do you think about this result?
I was surprised to say the least.
Mind blown.
And it seems like whatever I pick with the Titans is always wrong because, the Titans are doing really well and they have a lot of potential. Let's pick them. They lose. You know what? They're going against a really great team here.
They can't possibly win this.
How do you expect them to win this? And they just do it twice.
They do it twice. Exactly. So that was an eventful game.
2 top 5 defenses, might add.
Yes. They've done it twice now. And now they're playing by far the weakest defense that they've faced in a few weeks, and by far the weakest defense left in the NFL. But unfortunately for them, there's that other guy, that Mahomes, that quarterback, who's gonna put 50 on everyone. So we'll get into that. But let's stick with the games that we've seen so far. Vikings at San Francisco, maybe the least eventful of the 4 games, I want to say, because it was the least competitive. There was one play, one moment when Stephon Diggs caught that deep touchdown. We thought this might be a close game, and it was sort of the last time we thought that, because after that it was just over.
Yeah.
Vikings are a very up and down team, it seems. They go into New Orleans, Kirk Cousins plays game of his life, they clean him up, and then they just get nothing together the next week. Kind of characteristic, it seems, for their entire season and for the type of team that they are.
They do this in the playoffs every time they make it to the playoffs.
They do. They just did it one round later than they usually do.
Exactly.
This time. To the dismay of certain New Orleans Saints people.
Yeah, see, the thing is, the last time the Saints and 49ers faced off, which was in one of the last weeks of the season.
Which was crazy.
It was really close.
Yes.
And now the Vikings deciding to be good one week and then bad the other week means that they basically just let the Niners by while they just eliminated the Saints.
Yes.
Niners-Saints would have been such a great rematch.
And that's why...
Just for the match alone. Not even saying because I'm a Saints fan. Of course, I'm a Saints fan. I would have loved to see them get further. Yeah. But that would have been a great game.
Yeah. But that's how the regular season game comes in huge again, because that decided the 1 seed between those 2 teams.
Yeah.
And if that had gone the other way, then San Francisco was playing in the wildcard round, and New Orleans is staying at home for a week. So those kind of things matter.
You know what? I heard an analyst this week propose something. I think it might have been Dave Damashek, if I remember right. That
he's never said bad stuff ever. What do you think?
Maybe
he's funny, at least, though. He's entertaining.
Very funny. But he said maybe the Saints, this is just what they do. They can't win the big ones.
You think so?
I don't know. I'll leave that up to JJ to decide that.
I mean, there's been a lot of those sorts of moments in Saints history.
Yeah.
You know, they'll pull off like the craziest play in NFL history, and then they'll miss the extra point. That kind of stuff just happens.
That happens. Though Drew Brees has won the Super Bowl before.
Oh yeah, fun fact, right? Every single Saints quarterback right now is a free agent.
All three of them, huh?
Drew Brees, unrestricted free agent. Wow. Teddy Bridgewater, unrestricted free agent. Taysom Hill, restricted free agent.
Oof. Who
comes
bring
back?
You can get... Okay, JJ, you get 2 out of 3. Who you want?
I've heard people say that you only get 2 out of 3.
Who you want?
And it seems like Bridgewater might want to go to Miami.
Huh. Boy, I want to see that.
So, I mean, I kind of personally, and this might be favoritism, but I want to pick Brees and Taysom Hill because I really like Taysom Hill, and Brees is just like he is kind of almost the face of the Saints at this point.
But he's also old. Like counterpoint, how about you don't want to be?
I mean, to be fair, Teddy Bridgewater would be a great quarterback for the future, and I guess he clearly can lead the team.
Yeah. So you don't want to be
long term. It would be a better choice to go Bridgewater, huh?
Because of because of experiences. You don't want to be the guy who's stuck with Tom Brady in 2 years and trade away Garoppolo.
I mean, you do have a salary cap hit from Brees' contract running out, and there being like, what was it, like $20.3 million, which is like the most amount of dead money in any NFL roster this season.
Maybe Bridgewater and Hill is the way to go.
That might be the way to go, yeah.
That might be the way to go if you look to the future.
I kind of want them to get some sort of 3 quarterback situation going again, though.
Tough.
Because otherwise they won't play Taysom Hill in fun ways.
You might have to list Taysom Hill as a tight end or something.
Sure. List him as whatever. Just have him play everything.
Now, do we know that Taysom Hill can actually go out there and win games?
At quarterback specifically,
yes.
Not like we do Bridgewater and Brees can. So he's definitely not your starting quarterback that you want to walk into a season with. No, especially also because you're losing him in all the other roles that he plays.
Well, and Brees
that's what I was saying.
40 years old, so he may be retiring.
He might.
To be fair, I'd rather have Brees right now than like Phillip Rivers or Tom Brady.
Yes.
When we're talking about like quarterbacks getting old, you know.
Correct. But most people all those don't have that many years left.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I think
Bridgewater and Hill might be the choice.
See, the thing is, if I'm thinking like the next season, and that's kind of where I was mentally at, right? Then I'm thinking like Brees and Hill for if you're asking me for like a season. Yeah. But of course, if you're asking me for like
3 or 5 seasons, you thinking Bridgewater?
Yeah, like multiple seasons, like
lock up your guy.
Going years in the future. I mean, it would have to be Bridgewater. Yeah.
If you were
maybe you wait and see if you can, by some dumb chance or luck, get Tua in this draft.
And apparently there is rumors that Sean Payton is going to the Cowboys.
Ooh.
What?
As
what? As like a coordinator? Never.
No. He's
Sean
already
Payton,
GM. I mean, head coach.
He's a head coach. He's not taking any other job. He's not going anywhere.
Again, that's just something I've heard. I'm not saying it's happening.
No. Can you imagine?
Yeah, no. I don't think so.
No, Sean Payton isn't taking anything but...
when did you hear that? Before they hired McCarthy?
It might have been. I saw a headline somewhere. I honestly didn't bother too much with it, but...
I strongly doubt it. That's not gonna happen. I don't think he's going anywhere, but quarterback situation will be interesting.
Yeah.
For sure. But... let's get into this next week. We've discussed the games, or we did particularly discuss Seattle and Green Bay, but Green Bay was a tad bit better all around, and Aaron Rodgers played arguably the best game of his season, and took Green Bay to the victory, old school Aaron Rodgers style.
That is
so.
What it is.
Let's get into those. Let's get into those games. We have 2 games, the championship games. Starting off with AFC, Titans at Chiefs. Smokey, what's your take?
My take is this is going to be Patrick Mahomes versus Derrick Henry. And it's I'm going to pick the Chiefs here, but I'm going to tell you why the Titans might win. Because the one way to beat the Chiefs is to run on them. And Derrick Henry is on a high streak right now, unlike anyone we've seen from a non-pass catching running back in quite some time. It's really tough. I mean, it really is tough. I mean, it would be it would be a Cinderella story if the Titans actually pulled one out here and made it to the Super Bowl, after being the 6th seed coming into the playoffs and looking like their season was over about 5 games into this season. But quarterback replacement. Boom, boom, boom. We're winning. We're killing people. And Derrick Henry is now the rushing leader in the NFL. But all that said, I think Patrick Mahomes is a little bit too good for this defense. And if he plays like he's capable of playing, they should have no problem winning this game.
JJ, what do you got?
Well, first of all, obviously this should be an easy pick for
and it should have been the last two
right?
games the Titans won.
Exactly. And that's the problem. And then if it is, like Smokey says, and it comes down to Derrick Henry versus Patrick Mahomes, I have to say one thing. Derrick Henry gets to touch the ball sometimes. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes gets it on every offensive snap.
Yes.
So, if that were the two people it comes down to, you would think it would be the quarterback who's favored in that situation. Mm-hmm. And also, despite what the Titans keep doing to my predictions, I have to pick the Chiefs. I just can't not.
Can't pick the Titans. Let me put this whole thing into perspective. The Titans in Week 17 beat the AFC South champion Houston Texans to clinch the playoffs as a surprise contender. Mm-hmm. They, in the wildcard round, beat the AFC East champion Patriots to advance in a very unlikely fashion, end their dynasty perhaps. They beat the NFC North champion Baltimore Ravens, the best team in football, eliminate them from the playoffs. And now have a shot to culminate it by beating the AFC West champions, having beaten every single divisional champ in the AFC in 4 back-to-back games, to win the AFC championship and go all the way. I mean, it sounds sort of unbelievable, but it's too perfect, right?
To be the man, you gotta beat the man.
You gotta beat the man, and you know who the man is?
Well, I was just thinking, like, beating all the champions to make you the collective champion of all that they represent.
But it's the perfect analogy, because out of all the men, do you know who the man is? Is that number 15 in Kansas City?
I believe it's Becky Lynch these days.
Okay, that was good. That was really good. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's number 15 in Kansas City. And Smokey, you outlined the way to beat Kansas City is run the football and then run it more, because what that will do is it'll keep the game slow, keep the clock running, and more importantly, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. The less he gets his hands on the ball, the more chances you have of winning. And that's the key. That's what the Titans' strength is. What I'm concerned about is that you can almost assume that if the Titans don't score on every possession, they'll have a massive disadvantage, because we've seen Patrick Mahomes dunk it on people every single drive if necessary, and in record time. I mean, how can you be down by 24 in one half and then go into halftime ahead? Is completely unheard of, especially in the NFL playoffs. That's basketball numbers. So it's incredible. I'm gonna pick the Chiefs like both of you did, because I think you have the best player in football at the most important position in football. Both of those qualifiers are not very close. It's very, very obvious, and I think he's gonna decide this game. Everything has to go right for the Titans. We've said it before. It can happen. We can't rule the Titans out anymore. We can't say this is easy. No matter what happens, we can't say it's easy. But you have to go with Patrick Mahomes here. You have to think that when it comes down to the Chiefs scoring rapidly and scoring a lot, they're going to end up forcing Tennessee to start throwing the football. And when that happens, no one, especially not Ryan Tannehill, will be able to stick with that offense. So I'll pick the Chiefs. We all agree on this one. Mm-hmm. And how about the second one, NFC Packers at Niners? Smokey.
Another tough one, because it comes down to the best defense in the NFC versus you don't pick against Aaron Rodgers. And this is going to be hard for you, Alex, right? I mean, you love the Niners and you really want to see them win.
It's not going to be as hard as you might think it is, actually.
You actually, the last time they played, you picked the Packers because you didn't want to pick against Aaron Rodgers, and the Niners won.
Correct. Yeah, and I got burned. Big.
Now I go back to my rule of, no, not necessarily a rule, but a little note that it's very hard to beat a team twice in a season. It happens, but the opposite happens more often than it actually happening. Packers are... I don't know, man. I'm going to pick the 49ers and pick against Aaron Rodgers because the 49ers are going to run the hell out of the ball. Aaron Rodgers is going to throw the hell out of the ball. And throughout the course of the season, the Packers have been better at running the ball than Aaron Rodgers has been passing the ball, even though Davante Adams is on fire right now. And this could burn me, but I'm going to pick the Niners.
David.
I mean, the similar argument that Alex brought forth for the other game kind of applies here, right? In Green Bay matchups, the deciding factor oftentimes is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And what do is you run, you control the clock, and you don't give him the ball. Now, as opposed to the other matchup, Aaron Rodgers, yes, he makes miracles happen, but I think these days Patrick Mahomes is probably better in that regard, and B, right now it's hard to say this, but generally speaking, I would think that the Niners team is more capable of doing that than the Titans. With that being said, I'm picking the Niners.
Alright, so Smokey makes the point for the Packers, then picks the Niners. You make the point for the Niners, then pick the Niners. I like that.
Yes!
I like this dynamic, because it always happens. And then I jump into the analytical stuff after we always hear those two exact stories every single time. The only reason why we talk about this matchup at all is because of the aura surrounding Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs specifically. Everything we know, and this is the one sort of criteria that you can't really grasp it, but it's just sort of that thing with Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. Everything we know on paper that we've seen in the regular season, every single stat, every single matchup says that this has to be a blowout. This has to be the most clear and obvious game in all of the playoffs. Because it's the worst possible matchup for Green Bay. We've been saying it basically ever since this game. Green Bay has a good shot of making it to the Super Bowl if they can avoid San Francisco on the road there. If they were playing, say, at home against basically anyone else, be it New Orleans, they have a good shot. Be it Seattle, of course, they beat them. They have a shot. Minnesota, they're better matched up against. This matchup, because of the probably biggest weakness of the Packers team being pass defense. Coverage in the secondary, and because we have seen how that is exploited, and the side where we look at Aaron Rodgers, the huge issue with this is that the 49ers are one of those teams, and one of the very rare teams that can consistently pressure any quarterback with 4 people, which allows them to drop 7 in coverage, which is the single strongest thing you can have as a football team. Outside of, or maybe on the same level with having an absolutely elite quarterback. So matchup wise, this is horrible. There's Davante Adams is the only reasonable threat. He will be doubled. He'll be taken away. Aaron Rodgers won't have time, and he won't have open guys because there's going to be coverage and pass rush. The interior of the Packers offensive line cannot even get close to handling the inside of the defensive line for the Niners. They'll put pass rushers on all 4 spots. They can also stop the run with the 6-7 guys there. This is a mismatch all the way through, and the Niners should blow them out. The only reason we talk about it is Aaron Rodgers, and because we think that there's this sort of magic in his hands. But looking at the quantifiable stats, the actual tangibles, this should be the easiest pick in all the playoffs. Niners should win this, and it shouldn't be close because we know exactly how this goes. It should be, yeah, it should be. With everything we know, it should be.
Yeah.
But then again, Aaron Rodgers is known to make miracles happen, and a lot of things have to go right, but there is a possibility this will be a really close game. But in all likelihood, looking at what we know, it should be a blowout. It should come similar or come close to what we saw in the regular season due to it just being that kind of a matchup. But though I want to say this thing, sort of off topic, if the Super Bowl were to be Packers versus Chiefs, State Farm has the best Super Bowl commercial ever, just lined, just perfectly. It just lined up for them. It's gonna be amazing. They'll get like the two guys get like different agents or something because they're not competing. They'll have something great. I'm sure of it. Mm-hmm. But I highly doubt it will come to that match.
Do you really think they'll record commercials in like the 2 weeks in between the championship and the Super Bowl?
I don't know if they're getting to do that. That's the other thing, right?
Yeah, I
because you're talking about the two quarterbacks.
Would be pissed if they did.
Yeah. You're talking about the two starting quarterbacks out from the Super Bowl.
I mean,
recording commercials.
I mean, even the winning teams will probably get like Tuesday, Wednesday off after the games because they have 2 weeks to prepare. Like during Pro Bowl weekend, they're not going to the Pro Bowl anyway.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl contenders won't go to the Pro Bowl. Mm-hmm. So it should be doable. Maybe they'll do it if both of them lose because then they're both in the off season. They can do it. They can like have a thing where Mahomes and Rodgers are both watching like the Super Bowl from their own couch at home and they're having like a party. And then they only invite like their State Farm agent, and then the other guy is like, oh, why, how cool? He just like shows up to the party like thinking he was obviously invited and stuff, and creates a weird situation. I can just picture how the plot of that would go. But yeah, there's definitely a great commercial just perfectly lined up already, no matter what happens almost. But if they played against each other, be perfect, of course.
This episode of the Scoreboard is not sponsored by State Farm.
It's not, but you gotta admit they're pretty good.
That actually is my insurance company, by the way. I'll talk to them though.
Are we actually just advertising State Farm? Is that what we're doing?
Just straight up doing it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though. I would like to either see in the Super Bowl the Packers versus Chiefs or Niners versus Titans, because I want to see that pass-heavy team versus the pass-heavy team, or the run-heavy team versus the run-heavy team.
Here's the thing why I don't think Niners versus Titans would be a good... Okay, I would like Niners versus Titans, and I'll tell you why, but it's the same reason that I don't think it will be a good matchup. Is because the Niners do exactly what the Titans do, but they do it better. They do everything that the Titans do, but just a little bit better, which is why I don't think that will be an even matchup at all.
But it also comes down to, are your three running backs as good as that one massive dominating running back?
Well, is my number one defense against your massive running back any good versus your slightly above average defense and my much more versatile passing offense and the best tight end in football?
Right? After he's already ran over the number one and the number three?
I mean, yeah, you could consider the Patriots number one defense, but the remaining ones for sure the number one. I want to say that when healthy, because they have been for a stretch, but when Quan Alexander, D Ford, Jimmy Ward are healthy, the Niners might just be the number one defense just because of the pass rush. I mean, the Patriots were historically great also. The offense couldn't hold up. But yeah, to me, it's gonna come down to the most interesting one would definitely be Niners Chiefs, which is also the most likely one that we're probably gonna see, and then it's just gonna be a case of Patrick Mahomes against the world again, which might very likely be talking about the next 2 weeks.
And you'll be torn on picking again.
I will, and I've already thought about this a little bit because I expect it to go that way, and it's gonna be really tough. I feel like the Niners defense, because of the exact same reason that they are a bad matchup for Aaron Rodgers, are also going to be a bad matchup for Patrick Mahomes. But then you got to think about how good Mahomes is. Like, the defense is built to stop the Chiefs, like they are also built to stop the Packers. Bring pressure with 4 people and covering everyone, doubling the threats and covering with 7 people. But Patrick Mahomes might still be a different one, and of course we have to beat Aaron Rodgers first. So that's not even done. I'm not going ahead and saying both of those teams are definitely winning, but that seems to be the most likely, the consensus pick, and that it will be quite interesting to see. But one thing though, because we haven't gone there enough, we'll have to go back to this Deshaun Watson thing.
Have you actually made your pick? I
picked the Niners. Oh, did you?
I
said that with every tangible thing that
you said you should pick the Niners. I'm not sure if
it makes sense. It should be a blowout. In fact, it should not be close.
Fair enough.
I don't believe in magic. I like IRL. logical pick is the Niners.
I was just saying, I'm not sure if you ever specifically stated that was your pick.
Yeah, it is my pick.
Okay,
so, which also means, by the way, that Smokey still has 1 point advantage after this week, no matter what happens.
Oh yeah.
Which means that the only way for me to tie the postseason predictions is for us to differ in the Super Bowl, unless, and I think we should pick the Pro Bowl.
I was about to say, are we not picking the Pro Bowl next week?
I guess we're picking the Pro Bowl. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
is that technically postseason? I guess.
I mean,
probably.
That's just a coin flip because even the players don't really care who wins.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We'll count it as that. Maybe if the AFC doesn't have Patrick Mahomes, I'll pick the AFC. I'll pick the NFC because we'll see. But if Patrick Mahomes goes there, then I might pick the AFC. I don't know.
You think if Patrick Mahomes goes, or if he goes to the Super Bowl and he doesn't play in the Pro Bowl, they replace him with Tannehill?
No, I don't think so. Because he's played a half season.
Yeah, but
I think Josh Allen should be next in line, honestly.
Missed 6 games and he still went. Who do you think? Josh Allen? I mean, yeah, that's a good pick.
I think Josh Allen should be. I think Josh Allen should be it.
Drew Brees technically missed 5 games.
Yeah, the one that he got hurt in.
Oh well, yeah.
Well, he got hurt on the first drive.
He got hurt in one, and then
in the Rams game.
Yeah, that was one.
But Bridgewater's 5-0, so
yeah, Bridgewater won the rest. So, which was pretty impressive, by the way. Can't take that from him.
Oh yeah.
But it should be an interesting weekend. I also like the seeing a lot of fresh faces in the coaching segment, and Andy Reid, of course. In the all the divisional championships here, conference championships, you got LaFleur and Shanahan from the same coaching tree.
Yes.
And you got Mike Vrabel, who is like a completely different type of guy, but
from the Belichick
has
tree.
Been very successful. Belichick tree, and not a lot of those have been very successful, but he's making it happen right now, it seems. And of course, Andy Reid is renowned for having a great coaching tree, and there was a decent chance of Andy Reid actually facing off against his disciple John Harbaugh with the Baltimore Ravens had they been able to beat the Titans there. And been Andy Reid famously being potentially one of the greatest coaches to never really have the big playoff success. So maybe that might change with him going to a Super Bowl finally. But those 2 games seem obvious, but I feel like the Titans-Chiefs one is the more dubious between the two still, though. Because the Titans are it feels like you still don't know enough about them, even though you know exactly what they are.
It's weird because neither of those matchups should be close.
No.
But both feel like they could almost go either way.
Yeah.
I know that you said the Packers is very much almost based on superstition, but the problem is if your superstition comes true over and over and over again, at which point does it stop being superstition?
At one point you'll believe it, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And with the Titans, we know that they could win it.
Yeah. Well, and you also have the historical fact that the number 1s and 2 seeds go to the Super Bowl more often than anything else, but I don't know.
Packers and Niners are 1 and 2 in the NFC, by the way, in the AFC.
So we're definitely getting 1 or 2 from that side.
We're getting 1 for sure. That is.
What if number 6
Kansas
goes?
City? That will be a rarity.
That
would be very interesting.
That very rarely happens.
And the most unlikely matchup, I guess, Titans and Packers, which would be an insane Super Bowl matchup if you think about it, right?
Wow, yeah.
We'd love to see that.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that. No, yeah, that sounds... I mean, to be fair, I want to see Niners-Chiefs.
For the spectacle.
But Titans-Packers just from, the storyline of how it even got there.
Storyline-wise, yes.
Yeah.
Game-wise, I also would like Niners-Chiefs. Probably would be the best game all around. That's true. Smokey, how about a certain college football occurrence that recently took place with Joe Burrow utterly outclassing Trevor Lawrence and the number 1 scoring defense in Clemson. Even worse, so I told you this, than Patrick Mahomes potentially outclassed Deshaun Watson, also former Clemson quarterback.
Look, man, I'm getting tired of this. I'm going to tell you something. You know what? You know what Patrick Mahomes didn't do? Win a national championship.
All right, where'd he go to? What college did he go to?
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
Because he wasn't a 5-star recruit.
Yeah. So is Barry Sanders terrible because he never won the Super Bowl with an awful Lions team? Is Dan Marino terrible because he didn't go to the Super Bowl with
How dare you
awful...
put him in the same category with Dan Marino?
Who? Patrick Mahomes?
Yes.
Same category. 10 years from now, we put him in the same category legacy-wise.
That man
Right
is
now,
a legend and a national treasure. And you're gonna throw Patrick Mahomes in there.
Patrick Mahomes is a future legend, and they're the same style of quarterback too. Mm-hmm. They are both the best thrower of the football of their respective generations.
Wait till Deshaun Watson gets a Super Bowl championship. I'm gonna be like, yeah. He might have to switch teams to do it, but
he might. Yeah, he might have to go to the Patriots to get his 10-6 tendencies dragged to the play.
That would be something.
If he was on the Patriots, that is undefeated, 16-0 right there.
Him on the Patriots? Oh boy. Yeah.
Maybe give him some receivers or something. I don't know. That would
but
help.
I think Patrick Mahomes on the Patriots. Patrick Mahomes and the Patriots would somehow manage to win like 18 games out of 16 in the regular season. Like somehow Patrick Mahomes would emerge 18-0 after 16 games if he was on the Patriots with that defense. I would imagine.
That seems
very feasible to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems quite
that's like comic book stuff, man. I don't get it.
So I can't help but notice that you're kind of dodging the Trevor Lawrence question. So do you care to offer an explanation for what happened there?
Hey, I picked LSU to win that game. Did I not?
He picked the winner to win the game. Did you not hear it?
Right. You said last week you picked the winner. Whoever wins, I'll cash it in.
I told you before.
How about you'll never bet against Trevor Lawrence?
Listen, before that whole bit went off, I told you that I was picking LSU to win the game. But if Trevor Lawrence wins, then there's the rule that goes into effect.
Exactly. My point exactly.
That's what I said. He picked the winner.
So you hyped up the whole Trevor Lawrence might be physically unbeatable thing until the day that he loses.
Exactly.
At which point, none of that ever matters.
Yes, he's unbeatable till he loses.
And
at which point, none of that ever matters. Well,
listen.
I think we can agree that Joe Burrow, though, had the best season that a quarterback has ever had in the history of college football.
Yes, and in all seriousness, that may be the best offense that has ever played college football.
Perhaps it's getting there for sure, and unprecedented season. He should be the number 1 overall pick.
Oh yeah,
and he might be the next superstar. I think he might. Before the season, we very clearly said Tua is the best quarterback in this draft. I think this draft class is now shaping up to be an excellent class with Joe Burrow emerging on that level too.
Yep.
So
it's Joe Burrow.
He's the favorite, of course, to be the number 1 pick with Tua getting hurt. If Tua, you gotta think, had Tua not been injured, that would have been an amazing storyline between him and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Going into the draft, because I believe Alabama would have played a role in the playoff. Also.
It would be just like Jamison Mariota.
Yeah, and let's hope that this class doesn't turn out like Jamison Mariota.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's the thing. I was about
to say.
Think about quarterbacks who won the Heisman and then went on to win the national championship. We have Cam Newton, who was successful in the NFL, and Tim Tebow, who was not. Which one is Joe Burrow going to be?
I was about to bring up Tebow, yeah. College success does not necessarily translate to the NFL. And I was gonna bring up Tebow, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because he was also the kind of all-time great college quarterback, and then nothing.
There are certain
very little.
There are certain players, but quarterbacks more so than anyone, that are specifically made for college and not for the NFL. Classic example is, of course, Johnny Manziel.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that Baker Mayfield is one of those quarterbacks, though, of course, he's still having a shot in the NFL. I believe Kyler Murray, I believe Robert Griffin are examples of that phenomenon. I believe Jameis Winston was an example of that phenomenon. There's a lot of those. And Tim Tebow, of course.
Marcus Mariota.
All those guys, really.
Yeah.
A lot of people from that Manziel draft in general. You had Blake Bortles. You have a lot of really, really overdrafted guys that turned out to be busts in the NFL relative to the position where they were valued and selected in the draft.
Would you call Jared Goff one of those guys?
I think Jared Goff is doing good enough. He's definitely underperforming for what they thought. For a first overall pick, he's underperforming, no doubt.
Yeah.
Considering Carson Wentz went after him, yes he is in relativity, he's a bust, but he is a solid starting quarterback, but he is average. And you don't want an average guy for your first overall pick. So yes, I would consider him overall a disappointment, but not a complete bust.
Yeah.
In absolute terms.
I agree with that.
Not like Menzel, at least. Though it still is rather questionable what he would actually be able to do without Sean McVay by himself. Exactly. Because his first season was not pretty with Jeff Fisher. So you can argue that. You can argue that either way, I would believe. And yes, Carson Wentz has turned out to be clearly the better player out of those two. You can make an argument, though. I'm not gonna be the one to do it, but you can make an argument for Dak Prescott over Jared Goff. That's probably better left for another day.
I think, looking back on it, I think Dak. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say because it's all about coaching, also. But if I were to start a franchise and I had to go back to that draft, knowing what I know now, I would pick Dak over Jared Goff.
But you had Carson Wentz available, though.
Well, I would definitely pick Carson Wentz before either one of those fools.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably picked Dak over Goff too. But both of those are dubious characters because with Goff you really don't know what he's gonna do. Without Sean McVay, he's gonna be any good. And with Dak, it seems like he just seems to be a constant underachiever because he had a top 5 squad in terms of talent in the NFL. And managed to lose the division to a better quarterback with a bottom 5 squad in terms of uninjured talent still available to him at the time in Carson Wentz.
Yes.
So both not exactly very desirable prospects in hindsight, I guess.
But at that point, you also have to say if he has like one of those really great squads and they underperform so heavily, can you blame it all on the quarterback? And if not, then what is the one thing that affects the entire team? Coaching.
Coach Clapp. Yes, that's part of it. I'm not doubting that's part of it. Though, give those Cowboys a quarterback like Carson Wentz, like change Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott. The NFC isn't close, and the Eagles are probably in the championship game right now, going to San Francisco instead of Green Bay, or the Cowboys rather, if we assume it wasn't the Cowboys, because the quarterback is still the most influential position in the game. And if a team with top 5 talent almost all around can make it to the playoffs, that's almost impossible if the quarterback were also to be elite. And you have even just average coaching, which they had, of course. And that was a factor to hold them back. I'm not doubting that.
Now the problem with
the Cowboys story is going to be fun.
A Carson Wentz or a Josh Allen or a Cam Newton is those quarterbacks don't hold up over time. You know, they're not gonna.
That's true. The mobile ones.
Yeah, the big physical dominating mobile ones. Yeah. Not like a Lamar Jackson or a RG3, but you know these big guys who can run into you and run you over. But eventually
that's
they
the
wear
thing
down.
About those. Yeah, even more so than the regular mobile quarterback like Russell, Lamar, because those guys, I mean, they avoid contact. They're running quarterbacks, or they can take and run, but they avoid contact. When you're Cam Newton and you're 6'5" and you're 260 pounds and you run a 4.4, it's hard as a quarterback not to act like a running back or a tight end after the catch. Because you want to use those abilities and make the most amount of plays that you can.
But even regular mobile quarterbacks don't necessarily age that great, because the thing is, you're going to get slower over time. If you have like your stereotypical pocket passer, like, yes, he still has to keep his arm going, but reaction time might fade a little bit. But at the end of the day, a lot of that comes down also to like knowing the game, knowing where to look, where to throw, when to throw, throwing the ball away when you get sacked. Like, some of that stuff gets better with experience, while your physical skills degrade a little bit, which is why quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Drew Brees have been in the league for so long.
And if you don't rely on that, then in the long term it will benefit you. Like Tom Brady ran a 6-second 40 at 20, he's ran probably an 8-second 40 at 30, and he might now take 12 or something. I don't know, he might be crawling the last 10 yards, but it doesn't really matter. because that's not the way he plays, and he doesn't have to do that. So yeah, that's definitely a point for the longevity of a quarterback there. Absolutely. Though, one more question. If you had to rank it, Smokey, the 4 quarterbacks currently left in the playoffs from 1 through 4, what would you say?
Mahomes, Rodgers, Garoppolo, and Tannehill.
So no surprises there. Right?
Yeah.
Do you agree, JJ?
Yeah, sounds fine.
Yeah, pretty much, right? I do agree. Though, in like 2 or 3 years, I can see Aaron Rodgers kind of falling out of that spectrum too. Because if you believe it or not, Aaron Rodgers is 36 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just, you look up and Aaron Rodgers is 36.
I think he's got a good 3-4 years left.
I think so. He's still playing at that level.
The Peyton Manning era, Yeah. Give him till 40,
Yeah, maybe. Though Peyton Manning fell off at the end, and Aaron Rodgers
at 40,
physically,
went off
the more gifted or the most gifted
which is
quarterback that came from that entire generation, of course.
Oh yeah, which is what people are saying is happening to Tom Brady as we speak. He has dropped off that cliff, according to some. I would give him another season if he has another season, just to make that assumption. But
with the amount of talent currently around, can you justify it? Like, can you justify starting a 43-year-old that is really bad and getting worse when there are so many quarterbacks coming into the draft and like every other backup quarterback? Like, do you think that Tom Brady next year still is considerably better than a Teddy Bridgewater, a Nick Mullins, or even some of the rookies coming in? Like, can you justify that?
Yeah, I don't...
Especially thinking Super Bowl?
From what I've seen this season, I don't think he was necessarily better than Bridgewater this season.
Yeah, exactly.
What if...
But here's the thing, right? Football teams, or most football teams at least, are run at the end of the day as businesses. And god damn it if Tom Brady doesn't sell tickets.
He does sell tickets.
Exactly.
And jerseys.
But how many tickets will he sell if the Patriots sit at 3-3 next year?
I mean, the Patriots maybe
score
not,
10
but
points
generally he'll find a place in the league, very likely.
Yeah, arguably.
Because
Colts
people will go
Chargers
to see Tom Brady, and especially if he's on a new team, speaking of jersey sales.
Yeah.
Like, people might already have a New England Patriots Tom Brady jersey.
That's true.
But they don't have a whatever else he's going to Tom Brady jersey. Those things are gonna sell.
But Bill Belichick doesn't operate with jersey sales in mind. Because Bill Belichick operates with Super Bowl rings on his fingers.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe not on the Patriots, but that guy is gonna be able to play a season or two somewhere.
He's gonna someone to take him on, if only to be a mentor to some other quarterback, which is a role that he has previously rejected when it came to being dethroned. So it will be interesting to see how he would handle.
He could go somewhere, start the season, and mentor a Jacob Eason or somebody, and coach him up.
Definitely.
He could. The Chargers could definitely use him if they really want to get rid of Rivers. They could use a Tom Brady to increase their ticket sales, and they really need that. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Though the
lowest attendance in the entire NFL, if I'm not mistaken.
Though the quality of play won't really improve, he'll be stuck with the same situation.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Is the thing.
I mean, I would say that Brady's probably still an upgrade over Rivers, but
I'm not so sure about this actually, because we've seen Rivers have. For Rivers right now, the bad season has still be a one-off.
Exactly.
For Brady, we've seen this decline for years.
Because I've seen every good quarterback, for the most part, have a bad season or two.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's really no telling what kind of cliff that Brady will actually fall off when taken out of that New England environment.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he might turn out to be legitimately just unplayable.
Yeah.
It's being possible. Put on a team where he doesn't have this sort of surrounding.
It's hard to tell if you have that elite team around you and like the defense to play like all of the important stuff, and then you put Tom Brady on like the 20-yard line, let him throw the ball twice, and then hand it off to someone and be done with it.
The most valuable role he can fill at this point, I'm fairly certain in saying that for a team, is coaching. Mentoring, being a quarterback's coach, maybe offense coordinator, because he's going to excel at that, obviously, with all this experience. That's what he's been doing on the field for a while now, been leading that offense for the most part. I think he probably can handle that offense just as well as Josh McDaniels could. Sort of like Peyton Manning did. Like Peyton Manning, in Denver, And in the end of Indianapolis, he basically called all the plays. He was the offensive coordinator and the quarterback.
He was the reason why Brock Osweiler went 6-0 in Peyton's absence.
Yeah.
Because he was standing there with the clipboard.
And got paid massively by the Houston Texans.
Yeah, that's also stunk it up from that point on. I get it.
Texas got a reasonably good quarterback after.
Oh, yeah.
They drafted that guy from Clemson.
They got an elite
pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah, you could almost call him elite, yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
That is if you acknowledge the model that has a category quite far above elite.
Yeah.
Then you could call him elite. If not, then
I can't think of anyone who would fit into that
It's sort of tough
though.
to not restructure. It's sort of tough to not restructure that, because then the elite spot is only reserved for one guy, because you really can't put anyone with Mahomes out there, you know. So
Aaron Rodgers.
You have to like call guys like Aaron. You start next season, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, other than that, I can't think of anyone who would fit in that category.
Man, Aaron Rodgers can visit from time to time. It's like hotel rooms or something. Like Patrick Mahomes got the presidential suite.
Patrick,
and
no.
Aaron Rodgers live next door. He can come visit Saturday nights for like poker and stuff. But
we're back at the State Farm commercials, huh?
But he can't live there no more. I don't think he can. I don't think he can live there. He can come by though. He's invited sometimes, but he's not a resident. he's got to fly second class when Patrick Mahomes is on the plane. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. I think so.
Oh, yeah.
At this point in their respective careers, I think that's where it's going to be headed.
Yep.
Maybe they'll get a chance to duke it out in the Super Bowl, and I'll tell you who I pick when we get there, for sure.
That'd be a great game, I think.
Packers Chiefs?
Mm-hmm.
Could be. It could be. But no, we'll see. We'll see next week. I don't think it's likely, but it definitely would be, the State Farm Bowl.
Wouldn't you like to see Rodgers get one more before it's over?
Yes, though not this year for obvious reasons, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
I think he can. I still think he has that possibility, though I think the NFC is tough.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that I don't think he'll ever be favored to do it again, especially looking how bad his matchup against San Francisco is, and considering that there's teams in the AFC that's going to probably be dominant over the rest of the league for a long time in the Baltimore Ravens and Chiefs. So, basically, the closing thought for me is going to be, we're going to see, in all likelihood, and we all predicted that way, the first of many Chiefs 49ers Super Bowls in the upcoming decade. I think this is going to happen several times, this specific matchup, because it seems like those are very much teams that the future will belong to right now. So, I'll say it's going to be the first of many, and we'll see if that comes true by the end of this weekend. Joe Burrow had the best season that any quarterback ever had, and he's going to be the first overall pick. And Trevor Lawrence lost his first game.
Being a Bengal.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence lost his first game since God knows when.
I mean, there's worse fates.
Pop Warner.
Like being a Brown, for example.
I was about to say, there's another team in that state that I think...
Would also start with letter B.
You know what, though?
And has the same colors.
Joe Burrow is from Athens, Ohio, so he would, in a sense, be going back home, being with the Bengals.
He would, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't mind, probably. He's getting a shot, at least. Would be fun to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't hate the Bengals. I generally sort of like the Bengals.
Yeah.
So I want them to be good. I want them to see compete against Lamar for sure too.
Number 2, man.
You think so? Wait. Is this a discussion?
I don't know.
Are you discrediting Joe Burrow? You think he's gonna be Tim Tebow?
Well, that's something I've
Okay, Trevor Lawrence, or Joe Burrow? Who you want to start your franchise right now?
Man, I think I would pick Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence has the entire history of being great. Yeah, he had a bad game.
Yeah.
And
throw Tua in it too. Throw Tua in it too. Out of those 3.
Oh, that's even tougher. I would. I think, to tell you the truth, I would tank for Lawrence.
All right.
I would just wait a season.
Interesting. Because you can't have him a year later.
That's why the Colts need to stick with Brissett for another season. You know, and you got your next Andrew Luck.
Oh boy.
Because I mean, yeah,
you think
Joe
you
Burrow.
go that far?
Joe Burrow looks like the greatest quarterback to ever come out of college right now. But
he had the best season any quarterback ever had.
But how was he last season? Average, a little above.
We didn't talk
average.
about him last season, so that should tell you.
Exactly. he was a little above average.
There's been 1 year players before.
He couldn't make it as a starter for for Ohio. Ohio State.
See.
Sorry, but yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe it's coaching and not Joe Burrow.
You think so? You would have argued probably before the game that Clemson outcoaches LSU.
I don't know, dude. They got this guy Joe Brady as their offensive coordinator, and he's bounced around a lot of college teams. And last season he spent it with the New Orleans Saints. So he made the move from New Orleans over to Baton Rouge and a step up, and probably got paid a little more. But he somehow taught this.
I would think so. Yeah.
He taught this average college quarterback to play like Drew Brees. Somehow he did that because Coach Orgeron was there last season. Coach Orgeron's been there for quite a few seasons now. He was there behind Les Miles, and I don't know. So maybe it's Joe Brady.
Maybe it is. We'll see. Maybe Joe Burrow will turn into Joe Brady.
That was a good connection. I was just about to say that.
We'll see.
What if
that's
the Patriots trade up to get him?
Oh, don't. To number one, that's a trade to number one. You know how much it's going to cost? That's not going to happen.
Tom
you
Brady.
Give up everything.
Tom Brady. Like,
what?
you want...
Tom Brady is worth like a fifth now.
Tom Brady could be a Bengal next season.
He's worth nothing. What do you...
He's a free agent, though, isn't he?
He could start Andy Dalton.
Isn't he?
Yes, he's a free agent. Yeah.
Like, they can't trade him.
Yes.
They would have to re-sign him and then trade him.
They could tag him
and
then
they
trade
can
him.
franchise tag him and trade him.
Yeah, I doubt Brady will let himself be traded to the Bengals to compete with Andy Dalton in training camp. On a serious note for the
that would be awesome.
Oh, you know what I want to see?
What?
I want Tom Brady to go to whatever team is on Hard Knocks next time.
Oh, boy.
I want Tom Brady on Hard Knocks. How about that?
That would be a bad team, though. That would have to be a bad team.
Yeah, but
bad team's going hard.
But wouldn't that be interesting to watch?
That would be the greatest thing ever.
You have all the regular stuff, and then there's like old Tom Brady, like in the corner throwing balls. Like
before he gives it up, I want to see Tom Brady on a bad team, just a horrible, rotten, last place team. That would be.
You want us to see him go 0-16?
He does poorly on a good team is the problem.
Yeah, you don't want to see that. That would be a dumpster fire.
That would be awesome.
Oh man, I'd rather not. But yeah, I'd be kind of more of a curiosity. Having to go like Carolina or something, Washington maybe. I don't know. Be fun to see for sure. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Combine, of course, draft. We're going to be covering that. I'm assuming. Going to be talking point several times on this show once the season's done, and of course the XFL coming up, starting right after the Super Bowl. JJ's hyped. Everyone's hyped.
It looks really interesting.
It looks interesting, and we're going to be talking XFL on this show. I know that much.
I mean, obviously, the quality of the players isn't NFL level because otherwise those guys would sign with the NFL.
Neither is college. We left college.
Yeah. I was about to say, there's other stuff that is still very watchable, and they made the rules in such a way to kind of accommodate that a little bit because, as you said, college football, that's fine. 1 foot in bounds to make it a little easier for the lower skill level.
Exactly.
Same thing in the XFL.
Correct.
And then they have other rules to pick up the pace to make the game flow better than the NFL. And if the game flows better, we can probably forgive like that little bit of loss in quality. And whenever you have one of those startup spring leagues, there's always a couple guys there that will end up turning out to be NFL caliber, and that will then become relevant in the NFL.
Superstar still.
It's a minor league.
The only one that comes to mind right now for some reason is Younghoe Koo, the Atlanta kicker. Yeah. He was the Atlanta Legends kicker before it was the Atlanta Falcons kicker.
Dooku.
In the AAF.
Yeah.
Was it Dooku?
No,
Younghoe.
Yeah.
Younghoe.
Exactly.
I said
it's spelled Younghoe, but it's actually Younghoe.
The Falcons kicker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That guy.
He told everyone that's how it's pronounced.
Yes. His name is Younghoe.
Like, we've seen what that guy can do, right?
Dude, 3 straight onside kicks?
Yeah. Like, he was out of the NFL. He was not gonna be picked up.
Yeah.
He went to the AAF.
There he
he
is.
played a couple games.
Balled
made
out.
a lot of kicks.
Yeah.
Atlanta picked him up.
Yep.
And now he's pretty good.
Because
he's
he
actually
was
doing
local.
pretty well.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Yeah, but he's pretty good though. I mean, he's got a decent replacement for Matt Bryant. You gotta say.
Yeah.
So that's something.
And you got all of that stuff going on, and then just, there is a lot of, at least like the, AF level is maybe not the best thing to say, but like there's a bunch of former AF players, there's NFL practice squad guys, like former NFL players that like played at like they were like backup quarterbacks or wide receivers or running backs, whatever.
Terrell Owens probably thinks he can still play. Let's give him a shot.
I bet he would. Oh, what about Josh Gordon? You think he'll get a shot?
Oh, Josh Gordon would be really good, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because he's still NFL level.
Yeah.
If he were allowed to play. Mm-hmm. And didn't mess up constantly, yeah, for sure.
The allowed to play thing is maybe, I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with who you're talking about, but it might also be a concern in the XFL because they are saying they're very strict on certain things.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
I'm pretty sure if the NFL doesn't let you play, there's very little chance that the XFL.
Yeah, they don't want to replicate the NFL's problems.
Josh Gordon's vice is marijuana, though. I mean, maybe. I mean, I think that's going to be allowed in the NFL after the next players' union meeting.
Perhaps, yeah.
Oh, right. The collective bargaining agreement is running out.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be interesting.
Which a lot of people have predicted there'll be another player strike by the 2020.
Well, yeah, like they'll strike for like a preseason game or something, then they'll settle it.
I think they'll work it out.
I don't think it's going to affect the season, but...
likely not. It's too much money on the line.
Yeah,
but it's just going to be interesting to see what that brings, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there is going to be some changes on some level.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Maybe. But
hopefully.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. But yeah, a lot of stuff to look forward to. Let us know your predictions in the comments for this week for the conference championship games. Who do you think will be the champions? We made our picks. We all agreed on the same. But maybe if you have an upset pick, let us know in the comments. Also, drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe to this channel, Beyond Football. Also, if you're watching on the Trash Talkers channel, Smokey's channel, subscribe to that. And if you're not familiar with Beyond Football, come on over, check out the other channel, the respective other channel, and drop a subscription if you like the content. That would be great. But next week we'll be back reviewing the games coming up, talking about the Pro Bowl, predicting the Pro Bowl, big time, flipping coins, and maybe we'll have JJ. Probably we'll have JJ back there for two. Until then, do you have anything to add? Anyone have anything to add?
That's it.
No.
Nothing. That's it. All right, great. Then thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.